Hey, everybody, welcome to Formalism Friday. Today, we're going to be, as always, with our hosts, Sean Robinson, Carson Grubaugh, and Brandon Graham. How y'all
Oh, he
doing
can
today?
hear us. I thought he took off his headphones. I thought he was going to do this episode silent, which was going to be the formal constraint on the episode.
I've been working on mimery, so that's really my goal here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm in a box.
Yeah. Okay. And you can mind read through the box or because of the box.
Rain Like Hammer's author, Marcel Marceau.
Exactly.
That's a mime.
Mm-hmm.
I know the name of a mime.
In whiteface.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. You have to make sure that there's pigment-free all of your mimery.
Yeah, well, luckily the
Pigment-free
whiteface
mimery.
I'm wearing is made out of the same thing as my invisible box, so I can get away with it.
Okay, tight. Yeah, invisible face. So
what invisible panels are going to be taking a look at today?
Well, we are going to be looking at language play, so that's good. So sounds this is a what?
It sounds a little too sexy. Look at these two hunky guys indulging in language play.
Yeah, I forget who the artist is on this. I got this out of some anthology, so I apologize to the artist. This is two bears having a conversation that they obviously used to be dating, and so there's kind of just like I'm talking about the weather. We're glad that the rain cleared up, and within there they piece out certain words and say, I'm glad we're friends now. I'm not with you anymore. Steve is better than you. And I like how they create this sense of like subtext to the conversation, even though on the surface it's just like this awkward conversation, small chat. It really gave you the sense of the characters. Cunning linguist. The history.
Now, so these highlighted words are literally the words that are being spoken in the conversation?
Yeah, like he says, I'm glad the weather cleared up. We need the rain, though. Yeah, LA drivers are afraid of the rain.
Oh, I see. So we've got a meta subtext. I'm glad we are friends now.
Yeah.
I am not with. I didn't even get that at first. Okay, so I'm not with you anymore. Steve is better than you. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's couched in the actual conversation, which is like, I am actually, but that's not the school's program. They're just like you, remember? And I thought that was a really clever way of, instead of going into their heads playing out the subtext of their relationship, you get a sense of their relationship through, it's like you do that kind of these Freudian slips, I think, in conversation. And this was an interesting way of showing it.
Yeah, it is.
My brain just immediately went to the dumbest way to do this, and I was like, two spies talking, and their secret message would be peppered through it. But I'm like, oh, this is better because this is actually relates to reality more, and I just can't get out of my teenager brain.
So like Boris and Natasha style, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. I like how badly dressed they both are. It makes me wonder if Steve is actually better or if he just sucks. Like that guy's wearing like shorts with like hiking boots or something.
This guy,
I think this is a really brave stance on showing that the gays are not fashionable as much as like, stereotypes are not always real, guys.
Yeah.
You think Steve picked out that shirt with the like white inlay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think Steve hates that shirt, but he's going to see the ex, so he doesn't really want his boyfriend to look that good.
Oh yeah, he knows. I tried so hard to find the full story, but it's in an anthology I've got somewhere. That might be going on. I was wondering if it was in the Best American Comics or what, or maybe it was in Fantagraphics Now. I don't know.
Okay.
Our apologies to the person who created this.
Yeah. Hopefully you're a sub and you can tell us, hey, I did that, you assholes, and then we can come back and give you credit.
They are well dressed. How dare you?
Yeah.
We were talking about photo reference in a previous version of this. So this is another one of those examples where, he might get away with it a little bit more because of the rendering technique and how simple the line work is. But this is obviously like a photo composite reference here, because I'm getting weird. I feel like they're going to fall over on the right-hand side there because the floor is not photo referenced. And we've got some foreshortening, some fairly extreme foreshortening that's happening with the two figures that is not happening in the table and the drinks and the floor. And it makes him look like a midget like he should be sitting in a booster seat.
This guy here, yeah. But it's always when I see stuff like that too, like I don't know, like when I was trying to use photo reference that I was self-generating to do superhero comics, I was always like climbing up ladders and like having my mom do a kung fu kick, like, you know, I was on the top of the ladder, or like having people lay down. And that's one of the reasons I just quit, because I was like, man, I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing this, and you don't ever get good results, and I don't have enough of an interior vision. But yeah, those down shots, I always, when I see photo reference down shots, I'm always like, man, you're working for it, good for you. Like that's what I think when I look at that. Like, your ass got on a ladder, he's hella tall up, and then they're looking through a window. Or
yeah, it's a camera lens thing. Like you need a wider, larger lens to not get that amount of foreshortening. It looks, you know, unnatural. Anyway, totally off the topic of the admiration for the very clever thing here. It's just one of the, my brain starts going on it once we're actually doing it. We talked about Uncanny Valley before. You know, there's just something to be said about like divorcing, you know, going for a more cartoony style that sort of diverges enough from photo representation that you're not getting any kind of conflicting signals.
Yeah, there's that narrative a lot where people will talk about how the hardest things to draw would be like a spiral staircase and a horse or a bicycle or something. But I often think that a lot of it is just like how you draw things more than what it is. Like if you draw, you know, if Barry Windsor Smith draws a horse, it's going to be really difficult. But then if Charles Schultz draws a horse, he'll probably just have fun with it and be easy, and it's still a horse.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We talked about Tezuka in a previous installment. The Tezuka horse is like, you know, Tezuka will bring a horse into, and he's like the rubberiest thing that's happening. Yes. Even more cartoony and rubbery than his characters. And they jump, you know, he's like, you know, this is how he runs. You know, he's like a pantomime horse or something. It's just, it's fantastic. You feel like you know, an actor is up on stage. The three actors are up on stage and with a sheet on top of them, and they're doing the biggest performance they can, because there's an audience that's like 50 yards away that still needs to understand the action.
And so like something like this too, that's so down to earth, like you can't really exaggerate any of that. And then you start photo referencing too, and there's like a stiffness to it. You know, like did he just let them converse and take photos, or did he be like, okay, do like the, you know, pose, because it ends with, you know, and then it's like he gets the,
it's referenced, because I mean there is a disconnect between the backgrounds and the characters, but there's something like and the stuff that impresses me at their drawing is I really like the way he does like the body hair on their arms, and that feels like it feels so natural. I would be surprised if it was looking at a photograph and wasn't just like how he always draws. Or maybe that's the thing where he kind of looked away from the photograph and he's like, I got this arm hair. I've been drawing Wolverine since I was 4.
It would be very surprising to me if somebody would make the amount of foreshortening that's happening with two figures on the right hand side without a photo there telling them that that's how it should be. And
a bold leg.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that makes it awkward is just that that's not applied in the other background. If you're looking down at that angle, those window things would not be straight up and down. Those would also be converging downward.
Yeah, it would be like a 3-point. I made that mistake once. I'll see if I can find it real quick.
I think I just feel guilty also critiquing it, because I'm like, what an amazing narrative technique. You're allowed to fuck up the table.
Totally. No, this is great. And it's so great. And I'm going to steal it. And also, oh man, did I do the thing when we look at something that we admire?
It's interesting conversations to be like what, like it's good that you're comfortable enough to say what else is going on this thing that could be improved on. Because also I think there's a certain amount of thing in comics where you have to forgive yourself and move on, and a finished comic is always better than, like, maybe if this guy had demanded that the perspective be perfect, maybe he'd still be working on it and we wouldn't be talking about it on YouTube right now. You know, it's a finished cool comic.
Yeah, and like I never looked at that because I was so caught up in the story and all that stuff. Like I think we're more likely to see that stuff too, because I throw this thing up. It's like when I'm going around and I'm looking at my students while they're working, I'm like, yeah, it's going really good. And I have this vision of like what they're working on as good. And then we get to critique and they put the same drawing with even more work put into it up on the wall. And I'm like, sometimes, because when you really sit and stare at something, rather than you're taking like, okay, I'm looking at it for like 30 seconds to kind of give them advice. It's the same thing. We're really staring at it. And if you do that with anyone, it's gonna go. I don't have any. I think these are nice. And besides that weird foreshortening, like there are some things about this that feel like, I think there's plenty of artists who would generate something like this or even more realistic without reference. But I agree with you, Sean, that's kind of giveaway area there. Anyways, yeah, it's a fun use of dialogue that I haven't seen before or since. And Brandon, I actually do like your idea of like spies talking in coded messages. I think there's other ways of doing something like this, and especially like Brandon, me and you have talked about games in comics. I think you might be able to stick games in word balloons, like thinking of the spy reference. There might be some kind of way to do similar things. Like if it was a spy, it would be like every fourth word or something, and it wouldn't be highlighted.
That'd be interesting to give the reader like the key to solve it. And it'd be interesting if it was spies talking about something, but the secret message was like, Steve is better than you,
Yeah, but like if it was every fifth word or something, that would be like a more game constraint on it. That would be interesting. Or I've been talking to Matt Madden a little bit, and he's really interested. He's talking about poetic forms in comics. So I could see like you repeat the first and the second, and I could see something like that working really well in this instance. I don't know. It opened up my mind about what could go on within a balloon.
I think that the narrative the lesson we should take away from this sample here is that you should never be friends with your exes.
Yeah.
Unless you have tremendous financial incentive to make it happen.
Maybe on the panel before or after this, he's like just handing him a briefcase of money. Thank you for coming here. And
massive amounts of cats.
Yes, subtly telling me that Steve is better, because that's my fetish, to be outdone by Steves.
I'll do my best to search around to see if I can identify which anthology I grabbed this image out of, and I'll put that in the down belows with all of the other like, subscribe, Patreon